you ready?
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Shoujo thing that we're doing. I don't know what we're calling it. Shoujo Boys? I don't fucking know.
We'll figure out, even though we don't have the title in this episode, we will have a title by the time the podcast actually shows up on the channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you know what it's called. We don't right now.
Yeah, exactly. But whatever. The Vindy Craft Shoujo podcast. Where we read shoujo manga, and I don't expect it'll be a week before you see this again for us. But we're recording this a week after recording the last one, and
and Vindy has said it this one, so it's definitely gonna be a little while. Sorry,
what?
I had to. You have other things to edit.
I'll have this out by the end of 2021.
Okay, I'll take your word on it.
This guy actually is so toxic, but you know what?
Unbelievely so.
Fuck Craftsdwarf.
Like, how do I start off a discussion of like this wholesome ass series?
A series with the biggest motherfucking bro to ever exist in humanity, and you're just being toxic as shit.
But real quick before we get into Monogatari, next time my pick is Mars, which is it started in the late 90s. All I know about it is nothing. I was recommended to it by someone and I told them that I would pick it for the Weeb Club backlogs. We're not doing those anymore, or like not like normal. So it's like, well, it's a shoujo manga, so whatever. Yeah, I hope it's good. That's all I have to say. But you picked something else. That we read.
I picked. Sorry, I'm a little upset. I might have spent $60 plus. No, more than that. I'm not going to disclose how much. In Genshin to get a really hot lady, and I didn't get her, and so I might be fucking fuming. But it's okay. I'm not going to talk about it. But Yoimi is so hot, and God and China hate me just because I'm built different. They're not going to let me have the lady I want. And you know what? That's fine, China. Even if you hate me, I love Monogatari, which was my pick for this episode.
And yeah, it's literally on your manga 5x5 because it's,
it's goated. It's really fucking great.
So this isn't my first time going through the series. I did watch the anime back when it aired, and I liked it, but my score was like a 5 out of 10 because I think that was like cringe past me, like disgusting ape. Who gave it? Who like? Oh, it's so contrived that Takeo like saves so many and helps so many people after some weird random situations that befall them, or shit like that. Was the level of idiot you're dealing with.
Right,
so
right.
Ignore past Craftsdwarf. He is a fool. Monogatari is really fucking good. Because I also really liked it.
Yeah, it's great.
Where do I fucking start?
All right, so I know where to start. So, Monogatari is a romance series, and a large part of Monogatari, I think, as a series is that, it is the epitome, and I think I've heard people say this about the anime before, but, like, Monogatari is a series where even until the last volume, really nothing actually, there's, like, not any really, like, real conflict, right? Like, there is conflict, but I think at any point, the conflict is, like Monogatari is a romance series where the two characters who are in love with each other are in love with each other from the start and are never going to drop that. And so any conflict that happens is both characters being, like, dumb. You know? In a very realistic way, and in a way that does happen in relationships. But in a way that, like, they're never going to actually, like, not be together because they love each other. You know?
Right, but there's still just a matter of, like, them working out, like, their feelings, right?
Right.
And, because that's one of the things I thought was neat about it, because I felt like, yeah, there was conflict in the way it sort of, like, structures itself, where it does different arcs with these different characters, and, like, but it's like what I guess thought was neat about it is that, like, because I felt like, yeah, it had enough conflict, like, even if, like, at the end of the day, they're just gonna stay together, but, like, that can be said of even a series where they don't get together, because at the end of the day, they're going to get together, right?
Right.
Like, that's the only real difference, is that it happens at the beginning, and and yeah, they're not gonna, even if they did ever break up, it would be fine by the end, probably just knowing the tone of the series. But, like, I guess what I thought was interesting is for, like, over half the series, like, no character is acting with any, like, malicious intent or even, like, particularly selfishly. Like, they're just trying to do, like, their best to think of other people, to the point that that's kind of, that is kind of the conflict. They're thinking too much of other people, or too much for other people rather than themselves, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of, like, sets the tone for a really fucking wholesome and good time. It's just like I mentioned this before, but the manga I read right before Ora Monogatari was Drifting Classroom, which is children in a crisis situation and killing each other. Not the opposite of wholesome. It was horrific and brutal. So Ora Monogatari was like pouring sugar on the wound, I guess, and it felt great. Honey on the wound. There, that sounds better. It was just really pleasant and God, it's so cute.
It's so adorable, Craftsdwarf. In every fucking aspect of this fucking series, it's just goddamn adorable the entire time. I mean, the like, Takeo is a fucking hero, and I will get into some of the shit I love about Takeo in a minute, but, like, I mean, the main girl is she's so fucking cute.
She's tiny and she is sweet. For some, like, I didn't take very many, like, screen caps just because I tend not to. If I took, like, Yamato cute screen caps, I wouldn't stop. Like,
it would be every panel she's in. Yeah, I mean,
for some reason, the only one I have is this one because I think it's funny, just the way her mouth is so round. And she's like, oh, it's fucking cute.
Yeah, I think every chapter, I mean, every, like, panel almost. Like, I was just reading this, and, like, I don't think it's the exact same as Momokuri. I don't even think it's that close to Momokuri. But I could tell reading this that I was like, this is a Craftsdwarf manga. Like, Craftsdwarf, like, she is a Craftsdwarf lady. Craftsdwarf would absolutely fucking adore her, right?
There's so many moments she has that are just, like, precious. Like, I think the first one I saw you losing your mind to that, I'd already watched the series, so I knew about it, was when she's like, it's pretty early, so I don't feel bad spoiling it, but she's like, Takeo thinks I'm pure, but I'm not. I want to, like, hold his hand and stuff. Like, that's
She's
it.
Insane.
That's
She's like, oh my god, he thinks I'm so pure, but I'm not because I want to hold his hand. I'm sorry?
Disgusting. Like, it's just, they're both so stupid. And, one other fucking moment that, like, I think probably the cutest moment for me, because it just fucking murdered my heart, is they were at the zoo, and Takeo was comparing her to some small animals, like, rabbits or something, and she was just like, hey, I may be small, but I'm a carnivore, and she made, like, growling noises and, like, held her hands up like claws,
yeah.
I'm gonna die.
Like,
I'm going to actually die.
Oh my god. She's great. I love her.
And I swear to, oh god, it's...
And I love how we'll get more into it with spoilers, but, like, yeah, I mean, I really like it. It's just the cutest bullshit between the main guy and the main girl. And the real point that it really fucking shines in is the main guy, Takeo, and his best friend, Sunakawa, who are two of the biggest bros I've ever fucking seen in my life. This manga is just as much about the friendship between two men as it is about the romance between a man and his girl. Because holy fuck, do these two boys get so much together. And, like, you could honestly say that, like, the main conflict of the series at the very end is solved between the two boys. You know?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, Suna is, like, yeah, he gets the most screen time alongside the two main characters, and he's just super important for Takeo, and he gets, like, his own stuff, and he's also good, right?
Like, a moment in the first chapter, and I don't want to spoil too much about Sunakawa before we get into spoilers, but, like, a moment in the first chapter, he says that, like, because, like, he's like, in universe, like, a very attractive man, and he's, like, a pretty boy, who girls like, and he's very cool and aloof.
Oh, you know what? Actually, while you're talking about that, the premise of the series is that, in case you haven't heard of it, is that basically, Takeo, he's like 6'6", he's a fucking monster.
He's a man's man, like literally a man's man. In universe,
he's a first-year high schooler.
Every
but he's fucking
guy
massive. Yeah.
loves him.
Right, and but he's liked a lot of girls in his life, but they've never liked him just because of the way he is. They usually like his friend Suna, so they always confess to him, but he always turns them down. But he helps someone on the train or the bus. I forget, or I think it was the train.
It's the train who's being molested.
Yeah, and she was being molested, and he helped her, and she fell in love with him, and like for the first time, like he has a girl who likes him. And they get together in the first chapter.
I think it's chapter 1. Yeah, they get together.
If it's not chapter 1, it's chapter 2. It's very early. It's like the beginning of the series, basically.
And so for most of the series, they're together, and it's very common. I think almost every chapter, you see through Take, because the series, even though it's a shoujo manga, is told through the main guy's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. You see almost in every chapper he says that he loves the main girl, right? And he's in love with her.
I swear to God,
at least once every chapter.
Yeah, pretty much.
You see that
she does
from
something
him.
Cute or sweet, and he's just like, "I love you," and it's
and
well, because I even noticed because it he doesn't say it out loud that often, but that makes it means when he does it kind of becomes impactful, right? Like even though it's like and that's part of the conflict, I guess, is that. Showing the, outward expression, I guess. Because we do get his internal, and a lot, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Sunakawa, popular guy, or sorry.
Yeah, so the main guy, right, obviously, his friend is a very pretty boy, like, cool, aloof man. And there's a moment in the first chapter where he's talking to because Sunakawa doesn't date anyone, like, before, or whatever. And Takeo's talking to him. He's like, well, why didn't you date this girl? She's so cute. And he's like, who could like a girl who talks bad about their best friend? Like, Sunakawa is, even though, like generally what I love about this series in a lot of ways is that, like, generally you would get a series where Sunakawa is the main character. And it's Sunakawa going out with the main girl. And Takeo's his friend, who's just like the best friend of all time.
No, Takeo is totally like he's the best friend type character who's, not as good with girls, but he's a bro and he's, but like this, it does kind of invert that. And, like there's some author comments about how because it's an author writer duo and they were kind of talking about like they don't even consider Takeo ugly. He's just like not traditionally handsome.
He's manly. There's a part I saved where they were talking about him. Let me see if I can find it. They said, I'm illustrating a story by Kazune Kawahara, whom I admire tremendously. They basically were talking about how, they thought in some of the volume stuff they talk about how they think, like, they like manly guys. And they just see, like, Takeo as a manly guy, right? He's very manly.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes a large part of it is that, like, he's very manly. He's very tough. He's very cool on the exterior. And there's like a lot of moments where it's shown that every guy in his class, right? Every guy in his grade in school fucking loves him to death. Right?
Not even that. It's like there's a moment where it's like his birthday and he has guys from his elementary school that no longer go to the same high school as him who still stop by on his birthday to say what's up because they love him and respect him that much. Okay?
Yeah. Like when I said earlier, he's a man's man. Like, it's literally a whole thing where, like, guys fucking love him. Every fucking guy in the school he goes to adores him and thinks he's the coolest motherfucker and want to be his best friend. And the girls hate him. There's this moment I love. I wish I had screenshot it. Where these two, because like one of my favorite jokes throughout the entirety of the series is just the fact that guys love him and girls don't. And there's this moment where these girls are talking. They're like, yeah, my boyfriend loves him and says, I just don't get it when I ask why he likes him so much. And it's like these girls bonding over the fact that both their boyfriends love him and they don't get it. And that fits so well because I'm reading it like, this guy's a fucking hero. And the girls just don't get it. And I love it because like it just feels so true. Where like it's this big guy who's very big and he's kind of burly. And he's a little awkward, but he's also very honest, and he does try whatever he can to help people. He's very, cool. And, like, he's a very manly guy, right? And so it does become a thing where girls don't like him. Or he thinks girls don't like him. And it even kind of works into it where, like, he, like, calls himself not popular, right? And he says, I'm not popular, to try to satiate his girlfriend's feelings a lot. Where, like, he's like, I'm not popular. You don't have to worry about girls trying to
But then that, like,
me.
immediately gets challenged in the arc that takes place in, right? Where, because, like I said, how it structures itself is, like, usually that there's little arcs that focus on, like, one character, and it'll, like, focus on that little character for a bit. And they'll still be around after that, but it never really goes back to them, with the only exception being, I would say, Oda and Suna's older sister, who get, like, an arc earlier, and they get an arc later, basically.
Yeah. And it's really good. And I really like the whole thing that happens with the fact that the guys love Takeo, but the girls don't get it. And it's great. And it feels so real, because I'm, like, reading this with Takeo, I'm like, yeah, I fucking love this guy. But I'm also a guy, and I could understand why girls wouldn't like him, And it makes sense in my brain,
Well, no, like, yeah, it is a shoujo manga, but, like, speaking as a guy, like, there's definitely aspects of it that, like, I related to, I guess. Like one that also happened in Beastars, I think, where, because Legosi's really tall, and Takeo's really tall, and I'm also pretty tall, right? So there's just that, like...
fucking manlet.
Okay, fuck you and die. I'm tall
the
relative
joke
to
for people,
most people.
Yeah,
God, fuck you.
The joke for people who don't know is I have a good couple inches on Craftsdwarf.
I'm like 6'1", which is higher than average, notably so. And you're just like 6'6" because you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, like Craftsdwarf's like a tall person, right? Like most people meet Craftsdwarf and say he's tall.
Actually, I don't know if Legosi has a canon height, but I feel like you're Takeo's height. Like he's also 6'6".
Yeah, like
right?
I'm like the only difference between me and Takeo in terms of build is I don't work out, so I don't have like his muscle. But in terms of like height and like, and I'll get more into it, I think, with spoilers, because when I talk more about it, I do want to get into this. But like in terms of height and I think like broadness of shoulders, and just size, I am very similar to Takeo, right? The only difference is I'm not as cool and I'm not as fit, because Takeo's fucking jacked and I am not.
He's just a beast, like
right.
But and like, I guess another way I kind of connected to him
I'm similar to Takeo.
Okay,
and
yeah, but I guess another way I kind of like was just like the way he kind of like he's used to not being liked by girls, so that's kind of like his normal like state,
right?
Which is like, well, unlike him, I've actually never had gotten any kind of girlfriend, or admittedly I also haven't even tried, but I'm just totally used to not
right.
I won't go any further. I don't need to. But so it's like aspects of that, like I think I don't know actually for sure the genders of the two, the author writer or the artist writer pair, but I do think like speaking as a guy reading a shoujo manga, like I feel like the the male perspective was like accurate, I think. Like to my experiences at least. So
like I think especially the fact, because like as a guy, if I went to school with Takeo, I would fucking love him. He'd be my best friend. So I absolutely, like, in every aspect, right? And there's so many little things about him, right? Like the fact that, like, he cares about, like, I guess the way girls are treated, to the point where, like, when some of the guys that he's friends with even are, like, being, like, objectifying women, he's like, that's not cool, right?
No, there's a whole arc or a whole chapter or two where he goes to help out at his girlfriend's school, which is an all-girls school, and they have like a police cafe, and he himself dresses up as a police officer and literally like helps deal with like sexual harassment and stuff, because it's all girls school, so you got guys there and they're girls who aren't used to dealing with guys. So, and he's helping out, and he's being just a huge Chad, and it's really good.
Well, yeah, I want to talk more about that arc when we get to spoilers.
Oh, for sure.
There are things I want to talk about, but like, yeah, like I think like there's a whole thing where like guys love him, right? And so like I would love him if I knew him, right? And I love that, and I feel like that's the guy perspective. Because reading this, even from chapter 1, I'm like, I fucking love this man, and I would protect him with my life. Like, he is the biggest bro, and I want him to be my best friend. And then when you get to, and part of why I love this manga so much is like a lot of times I feel like Sunakawa, right, the main character's best friend, is the kind of character where like you almost see him and you just expect him to be a douchebag, right? You expect him to be the kind of guy who just
that's
is
even a part of it, because a
womanizer.
lot of guys kind of talk about how he's like unapproachable, but then once you actually talk to him, he's really easy to talk to because he is a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy. He's very observant of the people around him, and he does whatever he can for his best friend. And a lot of the friendship moments that are like GOAT tier friendship moments are based on Sunakawa, because Sunakawa is actually like the biggest fucking homie man in existence. And, like, he literally doesn't date all these cute girls that confess to him because he's heard them talking shit about his best friend. And why would he date a girl who talks shit about his friend? And, like, that's, like, a major point of it for him. And it's great.
I'm trying to think of what else. Well, one other, to move topics to a different general thing I could say. Like, the art is good, but I think what really, like, stands out to me from the artwork is the expressions. Because holy shit, there is such a, like, wide range of expressions, like, both just, like, funny, exaggerated ones and even just, like, solid, like, normal ones, right? Like, that get across, like, it's just really good at, like, expressing the character's emotions, and, like, a lot of Takeos are really funny. It's just, like, I had to send you one, because the fact that they were making, like, similar expressions, which I don't remember happening before, was like it sold that moment to me,
right?
In another way, just because it was so good. Like, yeah, it's really
it's
good.
Very good.
I think I had a really good one. Suna's older sister that I just like. There's some like one-off ones that happen, and it's just like they're varied. I would say it's just really. It's always nice to see how just wild the expressions could get, and it made it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot I want to talk about in specifics, but I need to get to spoilers before I do it, so...
Yeah, I don't think I have much more general to say. It's a good manga. I think we both recommend it. It's only 13 volumes.
Absolutely.
It's really short. And if you've read Nisekoi or Blue Spring Ride, Our Haru Ride, there are crossover, like, one-shots that are...
You're smart.
They're both really fucking funny. I definitely like the Nisekoi one...
is recommended Nisekoi reading, okay? It is almost paramount. Like, it's so fucking good. And, like, it clearly, like, it even tells you where it's at in Nisekoi's story, because there's a moment where Raku says what year he is. And even where it is like, and clearly it was partially, like clearly Naoshi Komi had a large part to write in it, because it's so clear what it's doing. And it fits so well with Nisekoi as a whole, right? And, like, what the point of Nisekoi is, that it's almost, like, it's recommended reading for Nisekoi.
Required reading is what you said earlier.
Required reading, you're right. It's almost required. Like, the only reason I can't say it's required reading for Nisekoi...
Like, or in Monogatari is, like, 13 volumes just to get, like, this one little tidbit for... And I don't... See, like, honestly, like, I feel like, especially for the Blue Spring Ride one, I feel like if, like... I don't remember it very well, but I feel like if you've read neither series, you could still read the Blue Spring Orai Ride and laugh, because right. I think the characters' personalities are made so clear, and it's just, I guess I'll explain it or I'll do it in spoilers just because it is just in case someone wants to read it on their own. But yeah.
But I would really say funny. That the Nisekoi crossover is like essential Nisekoi reading if you really care about Nisekoi. Because especially if you consider it in, like, time to when in Nisekoi it would have been, it's like, it goes off, is what I'll say.
I'm curious as to what you have to say, because I just mostly just thought it was good and funny. But it's also been a little while since I've read Nisekoi, so... okay, I guess moving on into spoilers.
Yes.
So real quick, to explain the Aoharu Ride crossover. So the main dude in Aoharu Ride he's more, like, laid back, low energy. And so it starts where like Takeo's late to school and he's running and he bumps into Aoharu Ride main boy at the corner and they swap bodies. So he has to pretend to be Takeo while being, like, low energy and much smarter, and then Takeo and his body has to go to his school, and it's a fucking mess. And it's just, like, really funny seeing these different, like, personality types, and then it ends in an even funnier way where all the characters, like, the major characters, like, go and help, and they all like bump into each other, and it like the last panel is just everyone swapped into everyone's body, and they're like, oh fuck, and that's it. That's just how it ends. It was goofy. So I wanted to explain that, and how like, yeah, I think if you just read it on your own, like, you'd still, the characters' personalities are clear enough that you can kind of get it, even if you haven't read either Blue Spring Rider or Monogatari. But yeah. So what do we talk about first for spoilers, though?
Okay, well, I guess since you talked about Ahara Red, I will talk about
we can talk about
Orikoi.
Yeah, and then we'll go into the back to
the reason I would almost call it essential reading is because so much I feel like on both chapters for Orikoi are about Raku and Chitoge, and about how they are perfect for each other, the same way that Takeo and
No, yeah, because
Yamato are perfect for each other.
Because a big point of it was kind of contrasting like their relationships, where because you have Takeo and Yamato who are like deeply in love with each other and very open about their relationship, where like obviously Raku and Chitoge are in a fake relationship, and like I like the jokes where like Raku has a bunch of girlfriends, so Takeo's like, hey, or it looks like it, right, because he has like so many girls around him, and Takeo's like, holy, hold the fuck on, and Raku's like, no, it's not like that. But
well, what I like is that like they get into the situation because both Raku and Takeo are just fucking great people.
That was so fucking funny.
Where they're not gonna let a cat get hurt, right? So they're just gonna fucking do what they can for this fucking cat. Well, not just
like there's the cat, and then there's the other cat that helps that cat, but he doesn't quite help him all the way. So then like Raku goes in and helps the cat a little, and then he falls in the pit, and then Takeo does, and so all three of them end up in the pit, but the cat is safe. So they're like thumbs up, and it's like, okay, well, we're stuck in the pit. What do we fucking do now? Like, it's so funny.
But the real reason I call it essential Nisekoi reading is because, like, I could see if you worked into Raku's mental, where, like, Takeo is mentioning things that he's feeling about Yamato, and, like, the fact that he's going to be late, or she might worry about him, or she's going to be stuck in the rain, and every time Raku thinks about Chitoge and then gets like upset about it, and like it's so good at like furthering their relationship, where like Raku is slowly realizing like that he has these feelings. I mean, I'm about to start ranting about Nisekoi, which isn't good, but well, I actually think that like this this 2-chapter spin-off manga does such a great job at both Raku and Chitoge showing that like they are perfect for each other in the same way that Takeo and Yamato are perfect for each other. That like it's insane.
No, I think they even mentioned a line about how like you see guys seem good with each other because when they're arguing, right? Because like the conflict is part of their relationship, and that's part of like the fact that they can grow past the conflict.
Right, like they keep saying like y'all get along, they get along so well.
And it was also really cool, like, because, like, yeah, the boys' side had them just being bros and, like, helping the cat, and the girls' side had Yamato being harassed, and then, so the girls come in, but they're also, like Shinoge's a gorilla, and Sugumi's a, fucking hit bodyguard, so they're also really cool.
Well, because, like,
wasted opportunity to make a joke about how Chitoge and Takeo are both gorillas, but,
I agree with that. Because, like, I've read the obviously... I've read the Haikyuu Nisekoi crossover, and I don't feel like that does as good a job as the Monogatari Nisekoi crossover does at like furthering the themes of Nisekoi. We're like,
no, yeah. All I remember from the Haikyuu one was that just it was really funny to see like a mostly guy cast playing off of the mostly girl cast.
Yeah, and there's great moments where the mostly guy cast like is jealous of Raku, right? And then also some of the girls connect with some of the Haikyuu guys, and it's great. Don't get me wrong, like it's really funny. And I don't get me wrong, I love Nisekoi. It's a great crossover between two of my favorite manga. But I think if I were to rate the crossovers, I think Orikoi is better because I think it goes further into some of the themes of Nisekoi and does a better job at showing certain ideas in Nisekoi and really furthering this idea of Nisekoi that some people are still so fucking stupid about that they don't fucking get. That, like, Raku and Chitoge are perfect for each other, you know?
Unfortunate. But yeah, no, it's good.
I agree.
So back to Monogatari, and now we can talk about spoilers, and it's like, who?
So, okay, I have one I'll start with. I really like the idea where, because of everything Takeo's been through, he feels like he's not popular, right? And he keeps telling, Yamato that. And it becomes this really cool, really great thing where it's like it becomes this like great fucking thing where, you know, because whatever, like the way it works, like he keeps telling her he's not popular, but then there's the gal in his class, who likes him,
does fall for him, and like as Suna even says, like, is there anyone who doesn't love you once they get to know you? And here's this girl who gets to know him.
Isn't he so fucking great, Craftsdwarf, by saying, is there anyone who doesn't love you once they get to know you? What a fucking king Sunakawa is.
Yeah, and that's like, that does consistently prove to be pretty fucking true. Yeah, so like Saijo she's also small and cute, bigger boobs, as is noted on, and, you know, which of course, like, cause like the whole thing with Takeo is like, you know, this is the first girl who likes him, and so there is that, you know, like sense of like, well, I think there, even with the eye stuff is like, Suna even told her that like if she just fucking confessed that she might be Takeo's girlfriend now, right?
Right, because there's even a point where Sunakawa tells Takeo that like his type is a cute girl who smiles, right?
Right, it's like everybody, because he's just like, he's never gotten that you know, a girl before. So, you know, so that when he gets a second girl into him while he's already into Yamato, well, now, like, he has to look, well, you know, he does love Yamato, so what does he do now? Because, like, Saijo's also his type. She's cute, and she smiles, right? So now what happens? And, of course, you know, he has to, like, reconcile that, and, you know, because he, like, yeah, like you said, he was kind of, like, putting himself down by saying that, oh, you know, I'm not popular, but, you know, yeah, that gets immediately challenged.
And outside of the stuff with her, it happens again when he is the cop at that school festival, which you alluded to earlier already, where he's the cop at the school festival, and it becomes this whole thing where he's the cop, and then now all of a sudden he is like he is voted as much, who immediately when they get there, Sunakawa is taken away. Because, we do this boys,
beauty contest,
you know,
thing, right?
Yeah, beauty contest
for
thing.
Boy. Yeah.
And so it should be Sunakawa, but because Takeo, and it's this great moment where it also ties in with this moment where Takeo meets Yamato's classmates, and they're like, we don't get why you like Takeo so much. But then he is Takeo in the sense that he does whatever he can to help people and shows off his cool side, which is what made Yamato fall for him, where now all of the girls in Yamato's, all of Yamato's friends understand why she likes Takeo and get it.
No, it's such a fucking good moment, because like he wasn't even entered in the contest, but he still like got as many fucking votes as Sunakawa just because everyone like loved him and because he was so good, and it's so good.
And there's a great moment where there's like this great line where it's like even tied into like there's even a moment where it's even said that like, look, you haven't met a girl because you've been at boys and girls schools. You haven't met a girl who likes your body type. But we're at all girls school now. Of course there are multiple girls who like the way you are, right? This big, manly, beefy guy, you know, who's just a fucking, like, hulk of mass.
And also, speaking of that, one thing that I don't think got touched on, because there was, like, by the end, I mean, was because, like, early on, I think Takeo said that he wants a job that, like, where he can help people. And they don't really go into, like, what he does after school, but I did feel like a cop would be ideal for him, right? Because he is really strong, and he wants to help people. Like, he's good like that. So, like, I that's just, like, a connection I made, and obviously, like, the series didn't touch on what he's doing, but I felt like that would be really appropriate, at the very least. So, yeah.
Right.
Let's see, what are some other good moments? I guess we could talk. I guess we can almost maybe kind of go in order, at least, or just by character, maybe, just because, like I said, like just the way that like the series focuses on different characters. Because like, Ai's stuff was really good. Where with her, you know, it's kind of like, you know, she did like Takeo because, of course, who doesn't love him once they get to know him? But you know, she kind of you know, hid from her feelings, and she's just good. She's a good big sister kind of type, and like, and of course there's Oda, who just like, you know, wanted her to fall for him, and well, he does some mean stuff later, but it all works out.
Yeah, and I think it's really great because, you know, it shows that, and I love that, like, she even, like, what I love about her stuff is that she does confess, right? And maybe I've been thinking a little bit more about certain aspects in Monogatari because I did read all of Kanojo Makanojo yesterday. Don't talk to me. But like it's made me think more about certain things. Like I love the fact that she confesses and Takeo just says, "Okay, look, I love Yamato." And something I love about the way he loves Yamato is like originally it probably part of it is that she's a cute girl who smiles. But the more he gets to know her, the more he loves her. And it's even shown as like in these different ways, right? And it's more than just she's cute and she smiles. It's all the little aspects of it, right? It's the fact that she'll call herself a carnivore at the zoo. And it's the fact that she won't let another guy take her. And it's all these little things about her. The fact that she loves to cook these sweets and stuff like that that make him love her more. So where another cute girl who smiles confesses, and he will not even entertain the idea of liking her, not just because he has a girlfriend, but because Yamato is really the person he truly loves and he feels like he should be with.
And two things I just thought about. One is that I remember with the school is how like Yamato got jealous that Takeo is so liked at her school because of course she is, right? Like she's just, you know, like even in the early parts she's so funny where she's just like, oh man, Takeo's so cool. He must have guys falling all over him. And they're just like, no, that's not how it works. And it's like, she's like, what? But he's so cool. And she's just so sweet.
Right.
And the other thing I thought of is because like with Yukika, the girl who likes Suna, she said a line about how like, because Takeo's like, oh, well, maybe you're just kind of idealizing him and seeing him as perfect. And she's just like, well, it's more that my idea of perfection, like, you know, changed to fit him, right? And I sort of like realized, oh, I guess that kind of fits with Takeo and Yamato, right? Like his idea of like an ideal girlfriend kind of moved to fit her, right? Like because he loves her so much specifically that the more he learned about her, like, you know, she kind of, like you could say that almost. But like that's just a connection that I made just now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would agree. I think it does a really, really great job at all the different aspects of it. To the point where, like, yeah, like, I legitimately buy them as a relationship, and I also buy just all of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really like it. And, I think that, like, their relationship's really good. I like his relationship with her, with Ai as well. Because I like that. Then she continues calling him coach and continues being a major force in his life. Saijo, I'm sorry. Where she continues being this major force in his life, even though he turned her down because he's still a nice guy. And it almost becomes this thing where even if she likes him, he's not going to turn her away because he can be friends with her, even if she likes him, you know? Because that's just the kind of guy he is. And I love how much of it, of the series is dedicated to showing how great of a man he is, right? There's the moment with the fire when they're at karaoke, right?
Yes.
Where
and everyone's in danger and he just like fucking chads out and
he goes in to save people who just seconds before were shit-talking him to the point of making Yamato cry because they were shit-talking her boyfriend. He doesn't get mad and say they deserve to die in the fire because they were shit-talking
he doesn't even like hesitate,
and they made you cry.
Like, or like, right,
yeah,
like,
it's the second he realizes there are people in danger, he runs into the burning building to save them.
Right, which, and of course, like, that also makes sense, I think, because, like, or just, like, the difference in the way they react, is, like you said, Yamato is crying. Takeo's been hearing that for fucking years, right? Like, he's used to it, or Yamato hasn't, because she only just met him, right? Which is also just feels, like natural, too, even just ways, like, you know, my experiences with, not with, like, you know, dealing with, like, that specifically, but more, like, because, you know, I have a friend who's black, and he told me about like an instance of like online racism he experienced while playing a game. I got mad. He didn't because he experienced it already, right? I'm white. I don't experience like that kind of like obviously different example, but just that kind of you know, you get a shield to that kind of stuff, and Takeo has that. So it's just like, you know, good character writing.
Right.
One minor, not a problem per se, but it is a little sad that like Yukika and Suna didn't like as I was kind of hoping, because that was the last arc that the anime covered. I think it was either that or Ichinose, the sweet chef. I forget which one was the last one. But like, because I think, you know, because I did watch that in the anime, and you know, it kind of resolves where, you know, Yukika, you know, isn't quite able to get with Suna, even though she does come in later, which is nice. So I was a little sad that they didn't end up getting together, or at least not that we see. But
I would agree, because I actually thought, and like, I understand why they didn't get together, and I think it works for Sunakawa, but I really did think going into it, like, She doesn't shit talk Takeo. She likes Takeo. She truly likes him, and even the way that he thinks about her is different than the way he thinks about other women. I really thought they were going to get together, and it was going to be this perfect idea for Sunakawa, like this perfect relationship. And you know what? I love the way you phrased it, where we didn't see them get together. But I could see Suna still getting with her because of the way that we get Sunakawa set up in terms of what he cares about romantically. And the way it gets set up in terms of the way she cares about him. I could see them still getting together after the series ends.
Oh, no, yeah. Like, it doesn't end at, like, a place where it's like, oh, it's hopeless for them. But, you know, it just doesn't, like, resolve it either, which is like, but I do like how at least how like she comes in and helps with Takeo at times, and she's also just really good.
Yeah, she is, and it's one of those things where like it's like I would have loved if they had gotten together, right? And I think there were a lot of thematic reasons that would have made sense if they had gotten together, and I don't think it hurts it thematically that they didn't get together, but I think that like they still could get together, I guess, essentially in the future of the series. Yeah. And it wouldn't hurt it at all. You know?
Yeah. I don't have as much to say about Ichinose or what Tanaka, I think, the guy who was what was the guy's name who cucked Takeo by stealing no, that's Ichinose. What was the name of the guy who cucked Takeo by stealing Sunakawa away from him?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember his name. I want to talk about Ichinose first, though.
Okay, because I don't have as much to say specifically. I thought their stuff was good.
I fucking love that arc, and the part I love, and you know what? I might show the Vindy bias here for a second when I talk about this arc and what I love the most about it. But my favorite part about this arc is the fact that every day when Takeo was fucking depressed out of his mind about this shit, who went with him to the beach every day? Who was the person who every day would go to sit there with him? It's Sunakawa, right? And he even mentioned, he's like, every day Sunakawa would go to sit with me at the beach because I didn't know what to do and I didn't know what I was doing. And I love that. I love that shit with Sunakawa. I love that he's going every day to the beach to go sit with his friend to make sure he's okay and to make sure he's doing what he can for him. I think it's fucking great, and I love that shit. I loved that, like, when Takeo really realized what was going on, even though at first he was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not the best for Yamato. He was like, I don't fucking care. I love Yamato truly with all of my heart, and I'm going to do what I can to keep her. And he really fought for her. It's so good because it feels both like Sunakawa being a goat and Takeo being more confident in himself. And in the fact that, like, look, even if I might not be the best guy realistically for Yamato, I love her and she loves me right now. And I'm going to do what I can to keep her because that's how much I care about her. I think it's so fucking good. And I love that arc. And I loved the way it turned out. And I loved that by the end, you know, Ichinose forgets his tools. And he's like, and Yamato calls
Takeo and Suna.
Takeo is like, he forgot his tools. He's like, there's no way he brings them to me. There's no way. He knows what I think. But you know what? Takeo brings him anyways because he cares about the fair fight and he cares about it. And he's like, I'm not going to let this guy forget his tools because Yamato cares. I care about fighting this guy on the most even ground possible. So I'm going to bring my tools for him. It's fucking great.
Mm-hmm. Some of the good Sunakawa moments I remember is like, cause sort of what you talk about there is like, towards the end when Yamato leaves and Sunakawa like takes him vegetable picking and stuff. And it's just adorable when Takeo is like, hey, wait a minute. You're trying to help me because I'm lonely that Yamato's gone. And Sunakawa fucking blushes and he's like, damn it. He's gotten more perceptive. And it's such a good fucking moment. It's so funny. And earlier, the one I mentioned to you a while ago was with when his dad was getting an operation, and like yes. Suna was like, "Oh, you guys do your date. I'll be fine alone." And then Takeo ends the date because he goes to help Sunakawa, and Sunakawa really did need someone there, and it's so fucking good.
And it's so good because there's like so much in it that like the fact that I guess I don't even know, like It's so good, and I love that art because Tsunekawa really is he's trying to be the best friend, and I feel like there's this entire thing that I really was, I guess, on the edge of my seat the entire manga, because Tsunekawa always has this very apathetic look to things, right? And I think that's intentional. Like, the expression on in his face very much feels either apathetic or, you know what I mean? And I was worried for a lot of it that some of it was going to manifest itself as being jealous of Takeo, or being upset that Takeo, you know what I mean,
right,
is progressing so much farther than him. And in some ways, Takeo goes a little too far, right? Like when he very clearly made out with Tsunekawa against Tsunekawa's will.
Yes, that poor guy. Like, I was like, this is assault, Takeo.
There is sexual assault in this manga, but it's between guy and guy. It's guy on guy sexual assault.
And like one of the girls' asses gets grabbed and obviously it starts off with molestation, but not by, like, that's a little different. Because usually with shoujo manga, it seems like to be like we didn't mention that about Oren, because I made a joke when we had the idea of it, where it's like, hey, let's do a running gag where like we speed run the shoujo manga to see like when is the earliest time that like sexual assault comes up, and within like 3 volumes, Oren is doing the like, oh, you know, I'm a guy, I might assault you, doing that kind of thing. And
right, and with Ori Monogatari, it's very much Takeo's a good guy and would never, like, there's even a thing where he wants to get physical with Yamato, but he doesn't know how Yamato feels, so he refuses to even hold her hand because he doesn't want to go farther than what he thinks
and later
wants.
on, it's even better because like he's having more urges. And it's even worse because she's literally urging him on. Like, she fucking wants it. And, but he, like, doesn't because he doesn't want to lose himself, basically. And it's so, like, look, maybe there's some other minor characters we could talk about, but, if not, I really want to talk about, Yamato and Takeo, because, like, they are, you know,
I do have more.
Suna. So
I do have more I want to talk about minor character wise, but
okay, go for it.
I mean, obviously Takeo and Tsunekawa have more I want to get to later, but I didn't want to mention the moments I did. But in terms of like main stuff, like other side characters that we won't talk about once we skip past it. So I do really like the guy who shows up as who's like a fake guy who tries to become friends super hard with Tsunekawa. Because he sees Tsunekawa as someone very similar to him. And I love that, like, Tsunekawa doesn't like the guy and just tells him, look, I don't want to hang out with you. You're a fucking dick and I don't like you. Right? And
right.
And Takeo is the one who's like, look, he's very clearly lonely. He's very clearly, like, doesn't have friends. Let's try our best. And Tsunekawa goes along with it, because he loves Takeo. And through that, Takeo is able to finally get through to this guy. And it's even mentioned, like, so I was like, Takeo, you've always been great at getting along with guys since we were kids. And we finally see, like, an example of that, of Takeo winning a guy over through being himself, right?
Right, because he was all like, oh, you know, relationships don't matter, because look at all these relationships I've made. They didn't matter because I moved. But Takeo's like, yeah, of course they did. He feels that way, right? Like,
right.
You know, but Takeo is different, and it's good.
And not only that, it's like Takeo's able to like convince him that like Takeo's able to convince him that like, look, we'll be friends even if you move away, and he does move away, and they continue talking. Right? It's great. And I love it. I really like that arc. I didn't think it was the best thing of all time, right? But I did think it was a very good...
yeah. Because, like, the best stuff is obviously with, like, the main 3, right? So,
Right. I thought it was a very good arc in the sense that, you know, even after everything, like, Takeo's still trying his best to be friends with guys. But the only time Takeo got actually mad is when he thought his girlfriend was being insulted. And I liked that a lot. I thought it very much fit the conflict of the series and the idea of the series, which is that, like, Takeo doesn't care if people don't like him, but the minute they're going to insult people he cares about. So either Tsunekawa or Yamato, he's going to care.
Or another time he got mad was when Oda, like, forcibly kissed Ai. and
right.
he punched him. So, like when people he cares about are, at risk, of course, like that's when or, being harmed or insulted, right? That's when he's going to get pissed.
Yeah.
So,
and the last side character I really want to talk about is...
Go ahead.
I assume you know who it is, but it's Tsunekawa's sister.
Okay, well, we were talking about it, and it wasn't, actually. I have another one that I want to talk about.
Well, I feel like we can't talk about Tsunekawa's sister, and this might be the other character, and I can't remember his name, but the guy who likes her.
Oda,
yeah. I feel like the two of them have to go together.
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, I already kind of talked about why I like but, like, there was a lot of good moments with Oda, too. Like, I remember, like, he's kind of, like, indirectly telling Takeo, like, oh, yeah, she likes someone else. And,
right.
Like, or the guy she likes is a real man's man. And Takeo's like, well, I think you're a real man's man, too. And it's,
and what I love about it is that, like, he originally, like, hates Takeo because the girl he likes Takeo. But then he immediately gets won over by this guy who guys love, right?
Because I love the way he's like, oh shit, Ai's going to see her family for the holidays, huh? Hey, Takeo, what are you doing? And he's just like, takes a fucking place. He takes a fucking picture. It was just like he's just already there. He's like, I was like, what the fuck? He's funny. Well, I guess another good thing about or cool thing is about Ai is like how like she's helping Yamato early in the series because like Yamato is being hesitant, to get closer, or like I don't know about going to this theme park because of all these curses, and it's like I think you guys are stronger than any curses, or I forget, maybe that wasn't her that said that, but that was said.
It was both of them. It was okay, her gotcha. and Tsunekawa kind of had the same idea.
Yeah. But what was some other good stuff with Oda and Ai?
I mean, I like that like he's chasing her. And Takeo's completely into it. And I love the reason that she likes Takeo because it's completely consistent with who he is. And also, it's like, it's the same kind of reason that any other girl in the series who is shown to like him likes him. To the point where, like, it makes sense. And like, it almost works. And it's like, she waited too long to say anything. And because of that, she lost him. But she didn't take that against him because she still loves him and wants what's best for him and wants him to be happy. Also, I definitely heard my favorite Craftsdwarf character in the background while I was talking.
It's your choice to remove it. You can. It's up to you.
I will not.
This one.
And I love that. And another part of it I love is that like it's so good because then on top of that you get like this whole section where she's talking to Oda and she's like, look, I love Takeo. I still love Takeo. And I don't want to date you because I love Takeo. But will you wait for me to fully love you and not love Takeo? And I love the way their relationship works, right? Even though Oda goes way too hard into liking her and does sexually assault her, and that does happen. And he gets, not only does he get he gets the shit punched out of him for it, but he immediately feels bad because he knows he went too far. To the point where he's like, I was in the wrong. I'm sorry. Like, immediately, right? And he just felt so pressured to the point where, almost after everything, it's like, look, dude, we know you're a good guy, but you went too far. And then she's like, look, you went too far, and it's not going to happen right now. But wait for me. Almost,
yeah, because she doesn't want to lose him either, right? Because, like, if she lost him... Because, like, we see a lot of scenes with, she overhears him talking with his friends, and he's just like, you guys just don't understand what makes Ai so good. And, like, you can see that she's starting to fall for him, right? Like, the scenes are there because he is a cool guy. So she doesn't want to lose him even though, yeah, he's a fuck-up. He made a mistake, right? A bad mistake. But and of course he's also kind of asked like, you're going to India? And it's like, yeah, it's a round trip ticket. And she's like, what? And it's like, you fucker. No, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I like them a lot. And I thought they were a really great relationship that in a lot of ways were very different, right? To Takeo and Yamato. But they were also the only other relationship outside of, I can't remember their names, but they're friends from school.
The Afro guy and the one Yamato's friend who they got together and they had the cool where like he's being wait, was it he's relying on Takeo too much, like she was in trouble and she wanted him to do something but instead he just ran and got Takeo and like so he climbed the tree and all that happened.
Yeah, and so then that was a part of it, and then also like even after that, like it took them a little bit, and they got together and they moved much faster, right, than Takeo and Yamato did. But it worked in a way I really liked.
That was so funny whenever like the kissing came up because like they got together and have you guys kissed yet? And Yamato and Takeo are like, oh, or Yamato's sister,
yeah.
And even when they did kiss, Takeo was like, oh yeah, when it was dark, I felt like a bug land on my lip. That was weird. And Sin is just like, I think she kissed you.
God, that shit was anyway, funny.
Before we get more into Yamato and Takeo, I want to talk about Takeo's Chad mom.
I love her.
Yeah, like she's literally pregnant, but she's still like fucking being a boss and helping other pregnant women. Like when we only have one wheelchair. Well, take the other in labor wife or mother because this is her first child. She's afraid. I'm in a lot of pain, but I'll be fine. And then Takeo's like, I'll lift her, and it's he's finally able to help his mom, and like she's just really cool. And like even I like seeing like the flashback about how his dad fell in love with her, and he even said like this is a woman I would ride the stormy seas of life with, but he even says like he was never able to actually like protect her because she's just so fucking cool. And I guess related is Maki, the daughter. She's funny. Like I don't know, there's like when she Yamato like tries to hold her and she just like gets headbutted. Like I don't know, I thought Maki was funny. A powerful baby, but yeah. Do you have any more to say about them, or shall we move on to Yamato?
Not much more. I mean, I really like his mom. I like how it's very clear from watching it that, like, I guess, Takeo got a lot from both his parents. But I would like to move on at this point to Takeo and Yamato, because I do think there's a lot to talk about with them.
They're so fucking precious.
They're the epitome of like the perfect, like they are reading this. It like the reason that they're one of the only two romance manga in my favorite manga is because reading it, like they're one of the only ones where like while I'm reading it, it's like, yes, this is what a perfect relationship looks like. You know what I mean? Like this is what a relationship where a guy and a girl who truly are meant for each other really looks like. Where, yeah, they might have problems at times, and they do end up eventually having their problems as they go, but, like, they don't really have too many problems because ultimately both of them love each other, and that's what matters.
Right, like you said, most of it is just them, not understanding the other person or fearing the worst, or that it's them just, like, not wanting to get close to each other for fear of, like, hurting them, right? Like, especially, like, when Takeo, doesn't want to give into his urges and touch her all over, but she also wants to be wanted, so by him keeping his distance he's like hurting her. And I noticed early on, like even though he was saying I love you in his head a lot, he didn't say it, or he didn't, like there was even a point made about how like he tends to call other girls cute, but he can't with Yamato, even though he thinks she's so fucking adorable, but he won't say it. And so like that's why I said like when those moments when he finally does like stand out more, because like there he is, he's finally saying it, because he's actually pretty shy at the end of the day. And what are some other good moments?
I mean, outside of the very last moments, I love the entire arc that happens where he puts space between them because he realizes at a certain point, like, this girl is so fucking cute that I can't keep my hands off her, and I don't want to go farther than she's comfortable with. So I have to stay away from her, because otherwise I will be way more physical than I ever should be with this girl, and more physical than her parents would be okay with. And so he just like stays away from me, I love that part. Yeah, and then what gets me is just like how, he says that, but like there's even like a bear visual, like he doesn't want to become a bear, and because, you know, but it turns out Yamato wants to be his picnic basket. All right, you're something else. I know, I'm terrible. I also love... I thought about that, and it's funny. No, it is. I mean, I also love, what happens with... I guess, like, you know, there's like other things that happen, right? Like I love the the chapter where he goes to meet her parents for the first time, and he's super nervous, and he meets her parents and her sister. Mm-hmm. And, like, they like him a lot, and he's just so nervous and awkward that he's, like, feels like he's ruining everything, you know?
Every, like, tiny mistake he makes, he's just, like, extrapolating to be, like, a disaster where, like, oh, shit, I bumped my head into their ceiling, they must hate me, like, shit like that, because he's so fucking big. Or, their dog, like, keeps biting him because it didn't like him, or whatever, and just, like, and he's just being so awkward and dopey, but they did love him. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I like them a lot. Do you want to get into the last arc?
Yes, because, like, where Yamato has to go to Spain, and I guess that ties into the you know, because, like, they run away, you know, Yamato is usually so good and ideal that, you know, she finally, like, you know, she runs away from home because she does want to stay here with her boyfriend, right. And Takeo goes with her, and they fucking go to Okinawa for a bit, and, lots of good stuff, but then, like, you know, she does need, you know, she can't run away forever, so she does go to Spain, and Takeo's doing really good at school, and Yamato's not, and so when Takeo thinks he's being a burden on her, he fucks up. So, yeah. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so, okay, so, God, it's so good. But before I talk about that, I want to mention, I think it's really interesting how Oren is very much anyone we see who's not from Japan is also from Europe, but is from France. And in this one, it's Spain. I think that is interesting how there is a difference. But Europe is still a constant in shoujo manga, which means it may be bad. I don't know.
Shut up.
But I fucking love it because, like, what's so good is, like, Takeo is, like, trying his best at school, and he's asking Suna and everyone else he knows to help him study because he wants to go, because there's a large thing that starts from very early on where Yamato especially feels very bad that she doesn't get to go to the same school as Takeo. She doesn't see him in the day-to-day life where what makes every guy love him, right? She doesn't get to see, even though what makes every guy love him is what would make her love him even more, right? And she doesn't get to see it. And so that becomes this major part where they want to go to college together. And immediately Takeo starts studying to make it into the same college. And she has to go to Spain, and her studies get worse.
Oh, and no, because, like, early on when that happens, Sunakawa didn't tell Takeo that the college that she wanted to go to was an all-girls college.
That is true.
And so Takeo applied to an did tests for, and they're not applicable. What is that? Probably because you're a guy. Excuse me?
That is funny. I do like how Sunakawa sometimes just doesn't give a fuck and lets Takeo try shit.
Yeah, well, like, because, like, there was a whole point made early on about how, like, the girls, I wonder what he's like when he smiles, and Takeo gets to see Tsunakawa's smiling face all the time, because he just, like, Takeo makes him laugh by just being his dopey self, and it's really good. But anyway, keep going with Yamato and Spain.
Sorry, so, essentially, yeah, I mean, it's super great, and he realizes, like, I'm holding her back. She's not able to study because she's so worried about me. And she's not able to fully live her life because she is worried about me. And so he thinks wrongly that the only option he has for both of them to continue to be happy, even though he doesn't want to do it and he knows she doesn't want to do it, is to break up with her. Because that's the only way that both of them continue to live their lives without being burdened by long distance, right? By cross-continental, transcontinental love. And what's fucking great is there's a moment way earlier where Takeo, who's generally always on the right path and always correct and always like this great guy, tells Sunakawa, if I'm ever wrong and you ever think that I'm straying from the path I should be, and I think it's around the arc with the baker guy. I know we mentioned his name earlier, but I'm not going to remember. Yeah. Don't talk to me. He says, like, I want you to hit me. And when he's fucking wrong in the 11th hour, and he breaks up with her, and then it's his birthday on New Year's, and everyone comes over, and he tells them what happened. Sunakawa fucking beats the shit out of him.
Immediately. No hesitation.
No hesitation. The second he says that he broke up with her, he gets up and he delivers him a punch of 1,000 fucking years. And you know what? He even says, I was worried that you were going to beat the shit out of me. But Takeo doesn't, because Takeo knows the second that his friend Sunakawa actually hits him and tells him he's wrong, that means he's wrong. And that he's not the kind of guy who's going to get mad and fight back. But when his friend hits him and says, you were in the wrong, he's going to stop and he's going to rethink his decision and he's going to listen. And you know what he does? He saves all his money and goes to Spain to go see his girlfriend.
Well, like,
it's fucking
another
amazing.
Great part about it is that, like, not only just Sunakawa, but everyone fucking helps. Like, all these other connections that they were making, like, she sucks at driving, but she's gonna get him to the airport. And, like, everyone hears it and they're like, what the fuck? How did Takeo and Yamato break up? I don't believe it. Something's wrong. Like, which is why they all go to his place, right? And, it's just like, yeah, it's, you know, it is about their romance, but, like, they're supported by all these friends that they've made along the way. And it's just so, like, that happened to Oren too, right? Where it's just, like, all, like, it's like the shoujo version of in Shonen when, like, in the war arc and everyone comes in to help in the last war. Like, this is like the shoujo version of that, where everyone comes to help to get the main characters together, because that also happened in Oren High School Host Club.
Right.
So
yeah, I was
it's
just
awesome.
saying, I am curious to see if that continues to be a thing in shoujo manga read, where every single person in the series up to that point comes to help out for the final whatever moment. It's great. I love that when he finally shows up to her, he essentially proposes to her as well.
Oh yeah, no, they're getting fucking married, right? Like, yeah,
like they are together, and then they go to college together. That couple, as someone who has known couples that have, like, legitimately, I have known couples that have been together since they were in high school that are now married. And I was in their wedding, right?
Uh-huh.
That's what they feel like, right? Where the minute they get together, everyone's like, yeah, of course they're together. And then they stay together, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, because, I mean, I just feel like that's a natural progression for a series that starts with them, you know, getting put into a relationship, and that it makes sense for it to end with them, you know, getting married. And that, like, even in Nisekoi, where it starts out as a fake relationship, like, that's still also how it ends, even if it has a flash forward to do it, right? Where I feel like, I guess in the case of series that, you know, don't end with the, like, it ends with the relationship starting because, you know, that's what the whole series was, of them realizing that they love each other or whatever. But, you know, like, I guess it just makes sense for it to end on a progression. And so it's just, it's good.
Yeah, it is. And, I do want to get a little bit personal about Sunakawa for a minute.
Okay.
In a specific way, and then the way he is. So, I think I mentioned it before on the Weeb clip. If I haven't, I have like 3 best friends, right? Who are like my homies, right? Like my best IRL friends, right? One of them is engaged, and the other 2 basically live with their girlfriends, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're very, very close with their significant others. I third wheel a shit ton, right? A large part of my social life is me third wheeling for my friends. And so in a lot of ways in this manga, even though I would originally think, and I mean, we even mentioned earlier, right? I'm very similar in size to Takeo. And I think in a lot of ways, personality-wise, I'm similar to Takeo. Mm-hmm. I was very much able to relate to Sunakawa a lot in this manga because I third wheel all the fucking time. And a lot of what Sunakawa does is he's third wheeling, right? And then he'll leave when he feels like he's being a burden, or he'll just kind of like step away or kind of ignore what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, to be the best third wheel he can. And that was something that really helped me relate to Sunakawa and really made me love Sunakawa. Was like, yeah, I get what you're going through, dog. That's me all the fucking time. I'm constantly third wheeling for my friends who are in these very serious relationships. Mm-hmm. And I'm stuck here just third wheeling and not really doing anything else, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess, well, because, like, it only uses a framing device in, like, the first chapter. I feel like the anime leaned to do it slightly more at the beginning, but the whole Red Oni, Blue Oni story, where, you know, the Blue Oni, like, sort of leaves and lets the Red Oni have the relationship he wants, right? So, but in a way, I feel like at times, like, everyone in the story is a Blue Oni, but they have to remember that they, you know, they have to have their moments as the Red Oni, too, right? because like they're always like, you know, there's just a lot of moments of characters like being willing to pull away from the others, but it's like, no, think about your own happiness, idiot. And yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I like it a lot, and I think that like I mean, I love that the final page of the manga is the three main characters being together. You know what I mean? And it's the three of them, right? Even though the series is largely about Takeo and Yamato, in the final page, it's Takeo, Yamato, and Sunakawa, because Sunakawa is just as important to that relationship as the two of them, because he is like the person who kept them together. And he's the person who cares about both of them. It's even like a point where he's like, look, like he even says to someone, he's like, look, if you're going to do something to hurt my two best friends' relationships, if you talk shit about either of them, I cannot stand you, because he's my best friend and she's his girlfriend, and they are the two most important people to me. And I fucking love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's well, like, you know, because, I mean, you said it like, oh, I didn't know shoujo manga were also about friendship. And I guess that's kind of like romance is also about friendship, right? Like, you know, the person you spend the rest of your life with is also ideally going to be your best friend, right? Or one of them, right? Just because, like, how else are you going to live with that person if you can't stand them as anything other than, like a lover, right? Like, that doesn't, you know, work, I would assume. So, what a good manga. Like, I think it's both mutually our favorite manga that we've read for the podcast. Like, I think as far as shoujo manga go, I still prefer Kimi ni Todake, which is part of why I'm excited to reread it and discuss it on a backlog thing with WattheWut and Nun, probably. But Ore Monogatari is still really fucking good. So, whew.
Yeah.
I guess that about covers it, because I don't think I have much more to say. So
no, I mean, if I'd say, like, it's almost lucky that I didn't have internet when I read this manga, because if I did, the specifics I would have and screenshots I'd want to talk about or post would go on for years.
It would just be the whole manga.
Yeah, I fucking love this manga. It's adorable, and I love Sunakawa. He's a fucking homie. I love Takeo. I love Yamato. Like I mean, I was thinking it was a fucking Craftsdwarf manga or reading it. It's also such a fucking Vindy manga in so many ways. And it's
now
like
that you've
exactly
explained it like that, where it's like you connect to Takeo and Suna, like that, you know, it makes sense why you like it more relative to me, just because I did really like it. Like, Yamato's super cute, and like I mentioned some of the ways I connect to it personally, but like that was kind of it. And it's still a really good manga, and I really like I gave it a 9. Like, I really liked it. But, you know, it's like just barely not on my 4x4. Like, it would totally be on a 5x5 I did. So, even though I did still really like it. So, you know, I guess just to compare, like, you know, a relative, like, amount we enjoyed it. So, yeah.
Right. And, like, don't get me wrong, I do like it a lot. Like, I love it, and it's super good. And I really relate to both guys in it in different ways. Because, like, even the idea, and, like, look, again, I don't want people commenting this. I'm not as jacked as Takeo, okay? I'm not this fucking built, sexy man, all right? But I am a larger guy in multiple ways where, like, yeah, not every girl's going to like me the same as Takeo, right? But the girls who, like, do like my body type are really going to like me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then with Sunakawa, it's like I third wheel all the time. So constantly I felt like I could see that motherfucker's face in a panel and know exactly how he was feeling, and know that, like, he doesn't hold anything against Takeo, and he's not going to cause any problems, because he does love his friend, he does want what's best for his friend, but, like, it is hard to third wheel all the time, you know, and you do want to get out of the way a little bit.
Like, I guess that's part of why I wanted Yukika to get with them, and, like, let the third wheel be a main wheel, a first and second wheel. Like,
and I also love the way that, like, he sees when any other girl likes his best friend, because he loves his best friend, and of course he sees what his appeal is. So anytime anyone else goes like, of course someone finally gets it. This is what's amazing about this motherfucker, you know? Like, it's great. I love Sunakawa, and I think Sunakawa is, like, really the glue that holds this manga together. Mm-hmm. But I love all three of them. So if we're gonna move to final thoughts, do I go first or do you go first? I don't remember from the last one.
I don't even think we rated Oren on the podcast, or maybe we just like casually mentioned our ratings off the side. But it's yeah. So, yeah. I thought we were kind of in final thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to give my score. Do you want to give your score?
I already did.
Wait, what was it?
I gave it a 9.
Okay, yeah, I'd give it a 9 as well. Yeah, I really like it. It's fucking great. I adore it.
It would be really nice because the anime, I feel like, almost adapted all of it. Because it went up to volume 10. Maybe they skipped some stuff that I don't remember. It was years ago, but I do wonder. Like, I just thought about like maybe they should give it like an OVA finale. That would be nice. But yeah. I don't know. I don't remember even like loving it as an. But I think I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it, I guess, to see how it is as an adaptation. But yeah. I'm glad I finally finished the series, and it's really good.
I agree. I like it a lot. It's something that very like has been on my wanting to read for a long time, or wanting to watch for a long time, because seeing the main guy, I was like, "There's no way I'm not gonna love this. He's me."
But then it turns out Sunakawa is actually you the whole time. like I Takeo and Sunakawa steps out of the meat suit. And
if you combine Sunakawa and Takeo and made him 200% less cool, you have me. So, yeah, I love it. It's a 9
You're my
for
friend.
me
You
as
can't
well.
be that much less cool.
Don't talk to me.
All right, we're moving. I start the podcast being toxic, and I end the podcast being anti-toxic. Antidote. Yeah. So anyway, thank you
really
for listening,
good. Next time is Mars. Thank you guys for listening. I've been enjoying these shoujo. Oh, I have one more thing really quickly to say. Craftsdwarf, have you noticed how sometimes in shoujo manga it does this thing where it'll have a page and it'll cut off like maybe a third of the page, but it'll be like a single page. And it'll cut off a third of the page, it'll be like this one long panel. There's like an author's comment over the panel. You know what I'm talking about?
I assume in the original manga those were advertisements in the magazine. That's my guess. Because in the volumes they'll sometimes be like character bios, or they'll just be little doodles,
right,
or something.
But what's interesting
those don't
about
happen
it
in shonen manga.
Yeah, that's not in. That's I've only ever seen it in the 2 shoujo manga we've read, but it's very common among the 2 of them. And I wanted to mention
and I've seen it in other series too, and only shoujo manga.
Yeah, so, I wanted to mention is like a very different thing about shoujo manga that I meant to mention earlier. It's just like an interesting thing. I wanted to make sure I got that out there, but yeah.
Yep.
Thank you guys for listening. Adios, muchachos.
Goodbye.
We love you all, and adios.